Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's edition of the Midweek Wire. We are streaming out live on X, on Rumble, YouTube, as well as Facebook Live, BitChute, and also on the audio streams as well. You'll be able to catch us there afterwards if you subscribe to us on iTunes. Again, I'm your host, Patrick Henningsen. Thank you for joining us. We're going to be focusing on a number of things. Obviously, the economic situation with Trump's trade war. That is, of course, the background environment to this latest crisis in the Middle East. So we won't touch on the economics so much on this part of the program today on the Midweek Wire, but we are going to go in depth onto the Middle East situation. And we're going to be joined by a guest who is coming to us live from the region. We're going to bring him on stage in the moment. His name is Ibrahim Majed, and he's joining us on the live link right now from Beirut, Lebanon. Ibrahim, thank you for joining us this week.
Thank you, Patrick. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You know, it's our pleasure. It's our pleasure. And Ibrahim, there's a lot going on. We'll try to get into some of the specifics, but what's happening right now, we'll bring on to the screen in just a moment, what's happening in Washington. And as you might have gathered, as many have noticed, Benjamin Netanyahu is made his way to Washington to meet with Trump. Now, the last time they met in Washington, Ibrahim, the results were pretty horrific. The ceasefire agreement, which we found out later wasn't really a ceasefire, it was just a pause to rearm. But that's what happened afterwards. Kind of a disaster unfolded. And now we're into, again, after March 18th, a lot of destruction in Gaza as well. We'll bring on to the screen here. We'll look at, here's Netanyahu and Trump. I don't know if we can, yeah, we'll tell our producer just to enlarge that a little bit. And this is interesting, Ibrahim. It's Netanyahu and Trump looking at pictures on the wall of Netanyahu and Trump. So they're two men looking at pictures of themselves in the White House. I can tell you as an American, this is extremely embarrassing and a little bit of humiliation that America has to go through every time Netanyahu comes to our capital. We have to submit and humiliate ourselves. At least our elected representatives like to do this ritual, sadly. But there's more to it. There's more to be concerned about, don't you think, Ibrahim? Because it seems like they're planning for an attack on Iran. And that's what a lot of our discussion is going to be based on here. But how are you reading the situation right now, Ibrahim?
Yeah. Hi, Patrick. So basically, what Netanyahu and Trump spoke about in the conference that they did together was basically dividing, first of all, the region into 3 or 4 problems. The first problem is the Iranian nuclear program. So Netanyahu was, and what the Israeli media also spoke about, that Netanyahu was shocked when Trump announced that there will be a meeting with the Iranians. Some Israeli newspapers said that Israel knew nothing about it. I personally do not believe so. I believe that Trump knows that a war against Iran will be extremely devastating for the whole region first. There will be a lot of death, a lot of people who will die in this region. But also it will be devastating on the American interests in this region. First of all, their economy, their military bases in the region, their interest in the region, even some of their allies in the region. I'm talking now specifically about Israel. So Trump knows the price of war against Iran. So he preferred to start with negotiations. Maybe he can get what he wants from these negotiations. Then, if things don't work out, they might attack. But at the moment, now, I don't see a war happening between Iran and the United States for so many reasons. First of all, the American vessels are way too close to the Iranian borders. This is something that Trump and the American administration knows very, very well. They have military bases in the region that can be attacked by Iran. They have interest, not only military interest, Patrick, there is an economical interest for the Americans. So, for example, a war starts between Iran and the United States. The Red Sea, now there's a problem with Ansarullah in the Red Sea. If the Strait of Hormuz is closed and the Mediterranean is also closed, that's basically cutting the supply from Eastern Eastern Asia to Europe and to the United States. The barrel of oil will be around $400 approximately, and this is something lethal for the whole world. Also, the oil refineries, the Iranians might attack the oil refineries in the region. They might attack many interests that the Americans have in the region if this war happens. But at the moment, I do not see it happening. I think, and I said it before, Trump is bluffing at the moment about war. He wants negotiations and he wants to get what he wants from the negotiations. And by the way, Patrick, Trump's negotiation with Iran isn't just about the nuclear program, it's an economical negotiation. Trump wants that the United States that the Iranians open their country for American investments inside of Iran. This is something very important for Trump. Trump looks at the world like a dollar sign. Wherever he benefits, this is where he will go. He doesn't care if it's Iran or Saudi Arabia or UAE or Turkey. It doesn't matter to him. What matters to him is where he benefits. He wants American investments in Iran. He wants as well. Patrick, there's a lot of Iran is a raw country because it has been sanctioned for 40 years. They have so much wealth and material in their land, such as oil, gas, lithium, which is very important. They found there's a study that says that one of the largest lithium fields in the world is in Iran, and this is very important for Trump as well. So basically, Trump will want economical negotiation, and then he will go into the nuclear program. Regarding the nuclear program, I don't think Trump has a problem going back to the deal that Barack Obama did. He doesn't mind that at all. As long as Iran doesn't have a nuclear weapon, I think Trump is okay with that.
Yeah, the previous JCPOA agreement, which Trump himself tore up at the
Yes.
request of Netanyahu back in May of 2018 during Trump's first term. But what you mentioned before, I think, is really important to explain a bit more, Ibrahim. We'll bring this up on screen. You mentioned if the U.S. was to carry through with their threat of a preemptive strike against Iran, this is just a map of the various U.S. bases that are within very close missile range of the Islamic Republic of Iran and all the troops stationed there. We're talking about UAE, we're talking about Qatar, we're talking about Bahrain, we're talking about Kuwait, we're talking about Saudi Arabia itself, funny enough, as well as Oman. And that's not to say anything about Iraq, Syria, Turkey, and Jordan as well, and Israel, 2 bases in Israel as well. Certainly they'll be targeted too. So all bets are off if the U.S. wants to go down the escalation route. It looks like, Ibrahim, that they're going to pay a price in terms of the position that they've spent the last 40 or 50 years building up in the Middle East. They could lose that very quickly if they will do damage, Ibrahim, against Iran. No doubt the Iranians will take a hit, but so will the U.S. And is that a price worth paying for America?
Nobody in their right mind, Patrick, denies the capability of the United States. They can destroy countries. Some studies say they can destroy the world 16 times. So nobody can deny the capability of the United States. But destroying does not win a war. What wins a war is achieving your goals that you set at the beginning of the war. So for example, today in Yemen, are they stopping the missiles? No. Are they stopping the production of missiles? No. Is the Red Sea clear and open for Israeli ships? No. So did they achieve anything at the moment from the goals that they set at the beginning of their attack on Yemen? They didn't. We have to say it's the same thing with Iran. Will they achieve their goals with Iran stopping their missiles program? No. Can Iran attack and destroy military bases that are for the United States? Yes. Is the United States willing to gamble in a war that is not, then that the results of it are not clear for the United States? They cannot say that they will win 100%. The United States knows this very well. They cannot say that they're going to win this war. Are they ready to? Are they ready to gamble in this war? I personally do not believe that the United States is a gambling nation. To be honest with you, I don't believe Trump is a gambler himself. Regarding how many casinos he owns in the United States, the man is not a gambler. The man is a businessman. So, what Trump is trying to do is to achieve an economical deal in this region, then a nuclear deal, then the rest will come along with it. And if you want, we can speak about it right now, Patrick, regarding what he said about Syria, because what Trump said about Syria is extremely important. Syria, if Syria is not stable, the Middle East will never be stable. If you want to have a stable Middle East, you have to have a stable Syria. Trump basically divided Syria in his latest speech. He said, "I congratulate my friend Erdogan." That's see, this is the smart thing about Trump. That's like putting poison in honey. First of all, now the whole responsibility of what HTS are doing is on Erdogan. It's not on the United States anymore. Second, he is stopping this clash between the Israeli and the Turks in Syria. He is telling them the northern part of Syria is for Turkey, the southern part is for Israel. Now he has two problems: the Syrian coast and the Kurdish movement in Syria. This is something that he has to fix with time, because Israel for Israel, the David corridor that they are building to create their long life dream about having the great Israel project, the Greater Israel project from the Nile to the Euphrates, has to go through these through these Kurdish areas, and we both know that the Kurds are allies with Israel. So this is something very important for Israel. I don't know how Trump is going to stop the clash in the future. On a personal level, I think there will be a clash in the future somehow between the Turks and the Israelis.
Mm. Yeah, and that's a good segue into this situation in Syria, which obviously you're directly affected by in Lebanon in many different ways. But let's just start with the situation in Syria. Clearly, Ibrahim, Turkey aided and abetted, supported HTS, Al Qaeda in Syria, helped them build up in Idlib, provided that, all the sort of strategic points by taking certain territories away from Syria over the years, Turkish army taking control, also sending in their proxies that quote Syrian National Army, another sort of version of the Free Syrian Army or al-Nusra for that matter, just with different uniforms on. But altogether, let's just call it Al-Qaeda HTS, led by Jolani with Turkish backing. So by doing that, Turkey gave Israel what it wanted. Israel wanted it. Tell me if I'm wrong or not. Israel wanted Jolani to march into Damascus and take over. But now, if that's true, and then Israel took the Golan Heights very quickly. Israel took Mount Hermon very quickly. Israel destroyed all of Syria's military infrastructure for the future very quickly. So if that's true, Ibrahim, if I'm right there, Israel's gotten what it wants out of Turkey now. What more could Israel want from Turkey? Could Turkey become a problem for Israel now going forward? What are your thoughts on this dynamic between Israel and Turkey? Go ahead.
Israel never wants enough. It's never enough for Israel. So they give them the Golan Heights, they took Mount Hermon, now they are thinking of the Greater Israel Project. The Greater Israel Project threatens the national security of Turkey. This is something very important. I don't think the Israelis are worried right now about Erdogan. I think they are thinking 20 or 30 years in the future. They are thinking about who will come after Erdogan. Can they control? Like, for example, there's a problem with the foreign fighters in Syria, Patrick. There's a huge problem for the foreign fighters in Syria because some of them have a very radical thinking. And I'm not saying radical thinking because they want to fight Israel. I'm saying radical thinking in a different way. But they do want to fight Israel. And this is something that the Israeli is afraid of. Who said that they can control them in the future? That's why the Americans are asking Al-Julani personally to solve this problem regarding the foreign fighters in Syria. This is something that Al-Julani has to fix because the Americans are asking them to fix this problem. And by the way, that's why you see that they put masks on the army today in Syria. They have masks on their face if you see what they are doing. Because from their features, you know that they are not the people of the land. They are not, they are from Shishan, some of them are from China, some of them they're from many different nationalities. They are not Syrian people. This is something that scares the Israeli in the future because who said that they can control them in the future? Now, regarding what they want from Turkey, I don't think the Israeli right now has a problem with Erdogan. The Erdogan took what he wants. He wants Halab. The Turks have always wanted Halab. Erdogan took that. The Israeli can take the southern part of Syria. Erdogan doesn't really care about that at the moment. So, what they took now, the Israeli, is enough for them to start building this David corridor that we are speaking about to reach Al Tanaf, to reach Al Bukamal, to put a foot in Iraq. When they put a foot in Iraq, that means they are reaching the Euphrates. Their whole dream, Patrick, the Israeli dream, and if you see it, if you look at the badges on their military uniform, you can see the Greater Israel. It's from the Nile to the Euphrates. It took part of Saudi Arabia, Lebanon, Jordan, Syria, and Iraq, and actually a small part of Turkey as well. This threatens the national security of Turkey. Now, will Trump be able to solve this problem? I believe at the moment, yes. In the future, I don't know who will come after Erdogan. And if they can control what's happening in Syria, and if they can control some of the fighters in the HTS in Syria, because Patrick, HTS, let's be honest, Al-Julani doesn't have full control on the ground. There are many factions that are fighting each other at the moment in Syria. And we saw videos lately. Al-Julani has control of some of the factions and is in negotiations with other factions. But does he have full control on the ground? No, he doesn't have full control on the ground. And this is something that scares the American and the Israeli. Because if these factions decided to fight Israel, it's going to be a problem for the Israeli.
Yeah. And certainly, that's the other part of this is the Greater Israel Project. We're talking about, I mean, just from this map here, you can see along the southern flank of Syria there, from the border, the area which extends, that corridor which extends from Lebanon, Lebanese territory, right across the northern border of Jordan, right up to the Iraqi border. And this is a really important corridor, not just strategically. It is important if Israel wants to mount an attack on Iran, and you've talked a lot about this on X Spaces, and obviously you've posted a lot of analysis on this over the last couple of weeks. But that's also key for establishing the Greater Israel Project. This path, this corridor, you might call it their path to Persia. That's the way the Israelis might be looking at it. Just to explain the significance of this, if you can, Ibrahim.
Yeah. So this path starts from South Lebanon and Al-Naqoura. First of all, it goes all the way through the borders of Lebanon. This is telling the Israeli settlers in the north that it is safe to come back to your village, to your settlements, and to the houses, and to come back to the north, because some of the studies that the Israelis are releasing, it's like less than 25% of the people came back to the north. They do not trust their government can protect them. So this corridor starts from South Lebanon, going through southern Syria, pushing all the way up to Al Tanaf base, which is 24 kilometers away from the Iraqi borders. It's on the border between Syria, Iraq, Jordan, and then pushing forward to Al Bukamal. Al Bukamal is the area where Israel and the United States and everyone believes that the weapons are being smuggled to the resistance factions in the Levant. They want to reach there. Al Julani offered his services, but they do not trust him enough. So basically, the Israeli wants to go there themselves. They want to go there themselves. That's why I'm also referring to something. It's a very important point because also the Kurds being close to that area is important for the Israeli because they are their allies. Controlling this whole region is something very important. Now, once they reach Al Tanaf al Bukamal, the Israelis can push forward and probably build bases. There is Al Tanaf base right now there that the Israeli can use, but they can build new bases in Al Bukamal to push forward to attack Iran by themselves without the help of the United States or anyone refueling their jets or aiding them in any way. The 2 days ago, once the meeting with Netanyahu and Trump was over, Yedaot Ahronot stated that Israel, and this is a very important point, they stated that Israel alone can attack Iran without the help of anyone. What they want to do is take over that area. First of all, they can attack Iran that way. Second, they can build defenses against any Iranian attack from places that are far away from the borders, putting air defense there, putting radars there, knowing what's going to happen, the way the Iranian wants to attack, etc. This is an offensive tactic and a defensive tactic as well for the Israeli to protect the settlements far away from the settlements.
Yeah, and here's again, this is when we say the Greater Israel Project. This is from the Times of Israel, up on screen here. Greater Israel from the Euphrates to the Nile. So that corridor would complete or would help to complete their
putting
objective.
a foot in Iraq. They're
Yes.
putting a foot in Iraq. Yeah. It's
an
Israeli dream.
So do you think, what do you think the time frame realistically would be for this, Ibrahim? And do you think that any potential attack on Iran must be synchronized with this particular objective on the ground, or are these two basically linked in sequence? What do you think?
I cannot put a time frame. Listen, regarding this Greater Israel Project, we have to say that the Israeli doesn't think for a short term, and neither do the Americans. They think on long terms, not like the Arabs. The Arabs actually think on very short terms. No, the Israeli thinks on a very, very long term. So the Israeli will be very practical and pragmatic in this point. Now, I do not believe at the moment, I don't know after 3 months what will happen. I do not believe at the moment Israel would attack will attack Iran without a consent from the United States. At the moment, I do not believe it. In the future, if they do that and they drag the United States into a war, that's a different story. But now they cannot. So basically, once the Israeli reaches Al Tanaf, and if they want to, they're not very far away from it. I think they are waiting for the negotiations with Iran to see how the war is going to continue in the region and what the Israeli is going to take in the region. And I'm on a personal level, I'm scared for Lebanon a little bit regarding these negotiations. But we will come back to this. If the war continues, then the Israeli will push. If these negotiations fail, I believe the Israeli will push to take Al Tanaf and Al Bukamal. And the Americans are in Al Tanaf. They don't have to take Al Tanaf. They will push to reach the Bukamal area, and then they will have a foot in Iraq, and they can attack Iran and have this defensive strategy that they are putting. But if the negotiations reach a point where everyone is happy, I do not believe that there is a reason for the Israeli right now, at the moment, I mean, at the moment. To do this attack, it will cause a problem with the Syrian people, and it will cause a problem with the Turks, and it will cause a problem with the Iraqis. This is something that is very important that the Israeli also knows about. They are extending way too much, Patrick, that if they extend more, they will have much more fronts that can attack them on the ground, not just by firing missiles, because you have to have boots on the ground.
Right. So they have to consider all the defensive concerns there. The U.S. is very exposed with quite a few facilities just in Syria and Iraq alone. That's hugely problematic. If any actual fighting breaks out or things get really hostile. Here's a map again of the territorial control of Syria, but you can see along the bottom here, Al Tanaf there at the cross there, a three-way junction of the Jordanian, the Syrian, and the Iraqi border. And then just to the northeast of that is, as you said, Al Bukamal. It's very, very key junctures here. They have been key for a long time. In fact, this was the whole reason, in my opinion anyway, Ibrahim, the reason that the U.S. and the Israeli intelligence and Turkish and Gulf and the Gulf with the Gulf state support created and directed ISIS to destabilize this area for that reason and that reason only, to divide and to isolate Syria. And of course, as you said, try to stop weapons transfers coming to the resistance in Lebanon. But we can see there's even a bigger strategy at play here, Ibrahim, with this part of the region. And so again, there is no coincidence that ISIS was deployed, in my opinion anyway, Ibrahim, when they were deployed and where they were deployed to destabilize, to occupy.
Nothing is a coincidence. Nothing is a coincidence.
Yeah, so there it is. So that said, there is a huge information war on right now, and there's a lot of fake news that's being pumped out into the mainstream media, and I'll give you a couple of examples of that. We'll bring it up on screen here. This one is quite extraordinary, but there it is. Exclusive: Iranian-backed militias in Iraq ready to disarm to avert Trump's wrath. Okay, this was April 8th, coming through on Reuters just yesterday. Now, when I saw this, I was really shocked. Ibrahim, to see this story, because I just couldn't believe that somehow that the Grand Ayatollah of Iraq made some kind of a fatwa against the PMUs to tell them to disarm. I just find it to be almost an impossible concept right now, unless I don't know what it would take to do that. So first of all, I mean, I think this is fake news personally, but it's strategic disinformation. What are your thoughts just on the surface?
Okay, so basically they are trying to pressure the resistance factions in this region to go into, if you want, a civil war or a clash between the people and the resistance, or the army and the resistance in the case of Lebanon. I don't think that any resistance faction, especially after the horrific scenes we are witnessing in Gaza, and how the United Nations and every single decision that is taken by the United Nations or is being thrown away into the garbage just for Israel. So basically, Israel has all the right to do whatever it wants, and it doesn't abide by any rule or any UN resolution, or most of the West are supporting the Israeli and the Americans, and to disarm right now so the Israeli can come and occupy us and kill us. I don't think any resistance faction will give up their weapons. Now, what I want to speak about is my country, Lebanon. The resistance in Lebanon doesn't mind discussing with the Lebanese government. The Lebanese government, not any foreign group or any foreign entity or government, or just the Lebanese government, a strategic defensive, how can I say it? A strategic defensive guideline for the country, if you want, regarding joining the resistance with the army in a way that doesn't interfere in the resistance work. This is what I believe. But giving up the weapons and letting go of the weapons, that is something the people will not allow, not the resistance only. The people of this region will not allow the resistance to give up their weapons as long as we are being massacred, we are being killed. Patrick, 130 martyrs since the ceasefire in Lebanon. 130. Israel is attacking every single day. It has violated the ceasefire more than 3,000 times in Lebanon. 3,000 since the beginning of the ceasefire. How do you want us to trust the UN resolution that they will protect us and they will stop Israel from attacking Lebanon? Plus, how can we talk about disarming the resistance if the Israeli is still occupying? They are occupying 7 points today in Lebanon. They have Lebanese hostages, prisoners. How can you expect the resistance to give up their weapons and the Israeli is still in Lebanese territory? It's not acceptable.
Yeah, and this has always been a point of contention for the West, that trying to find ways to somehow dismantle the PMUs, Iraqi's popular mobilization units, also known as the Hashd al-Shabi. And if you read all these various think tank papers here, there's endless ones. I'll bring this up on stage. But this is like the big problem that they're having trouble solving with all of these organizations, is how can we somehow get rid of these resistance factions. We'll bring this one up on stage right now. This is just one example here. This is from the Institute of the Study for War, and they're talking about how they can somehow isolate or disarm or somehow get the Iraqi government, in this case, to sort of dismantle them. But the problem here, Ibrahim, is because ISIS, that's why the PMUs existed, to fight ISIS. And then the Iraqi government basically brought them into the Iraqi Ministry of Defense. They incorporated them into the Iraqi military structure. And these are all basically a lot of rural people from a lot of villages and places in different provinces like Anbar and all these other different sort of, not necessarily in the big cities. And so they basically look at this as their last line of defense. Should ISIS be redeployed, or should some other force spill into their territory, there's no way, I can't see them voluntarily giving up this. And quite frankly, I don't think it's good for Baghdad either, because just to rely on a conventional military force these days is shown to not be very successful. Hezbollah is a different story, of course, in Lebanon. So what the Americans are trying really hard to try to disarm Hezbollah. And here's another fake news story, again from Reuters, same day pretty much, or just the day before. Here, Hezbollah ready to discuss giving up their weapons if Israel withdraws. Senior officials say this also looks like it could be a bit of fake news, Ibrahim, again coming from Reuters this week, or today, in fact, this morning. What are your thoughts on this story here?
It's twisted. So basically, Hezbollah is ready. This is from what I understood. Hezbollah is ready to discuss a strategic defensive guideline for the country to protect Lebanon from any further Israeli or another invasion into Lebanon. Hezbollah didn't say they will give up their weapons. This is something that is. And by the way, Patrick, Hezbollah gave some of their weapons in the south of the Litani River. Do you know what happened to these weapons? They got destroyed because the Americans said you are not allowed to have such weapons and that might cause damage to Israel, to the Lebanese army, not to Hezbollah, to the Lebanese army. They told them you are not allowed to have such weapons that might cause a problem to Israel. How are the Southerners going to protect themselves, Patrick? Israel's first massacre in Lebanon was in 1948. Hezbollah was created in 1982. From 1948 until 1982, there was no Hezbollah, there was no Iran, there was no Hashd, or there was nothing. It was the people of the South being left alone to fight this monster that has endless capabilities and endless support, destroying houses, killing babies, killing women, killing men, raping women, killing children. How do they expect that the people of the land are going to accept this thing? No, these news are basically fake. And some of the news also, I can tell you right now, they are saying, for example, that Hezbollah is using the Beirut port to enter weapons. Today, the minister in Lebanon, who is responsible of the port, went there, and he, by the way, the most of the government in Lebanon is controlled by the United States, and said that is not true. That Hezbollah is not using the port to enter weapons in Lebanon, but they keep on pushing this propaganda, and they have their I don't want to use the word puppets. They have their how can I say it? The people who speak on their behalf in Lebanon, who basically will say anything that the Americans and the Israeli want them to say. No, Hezbollah did not say that they will give up their weapons. They said they are ready to discuss a strategic defensive guideline for the country. And from the news that we are reading, Hezbollah already prepared a vision they have for a strategic defensive guideline for the country. They did a study and they have their papers. Once the president of Lebanon, Joseph Aoun, invites the Lebanese parties that are in Lebanon to a discussion about this strategic guideline, Hezbollah will have his way of thinking and their study, and will show it to everyone. And from there, we have to see where things go. But giving up weapons, listen, even if Hezbollah wants to give up their weapons, the people of the south and the people of Lebanon will not allow them at the moment. After what we are seeing, it's unacceptable.
Yeah, and so this is where the U.S. is trying to put a wedge between the various sectarian factions, you could say, in Lebanon. Standard playbook, obviously, but here is Trump's special envoy to the Middle East here, Morgan Ortagus, who is basically Mike Pompeo's, not secretary, but right hand in the last State Department. She herself, I don't know if she's a dual passport holder with Israel, but obviously Jewish American. She has a kind of conflict of interest automatically, as everybody does in the Trump cabinet. You can imagine here. So she's saying the U.S. is warning Lebanon must get tougher to unlock Gulf cash. So they're waving that carrot of Gulf money over Lebanon to try to what, Ibrahim? Get the other groups in Lebanon, like the Christian groups and so forth, to somehow create tension. It looks like it's being used in this kind of carrot and stick fashion here. How far are the U.S. going to get with this strategy?
Okay. Patrick, after 66 days of a violent war on Lebanon, the Israeli couldn't enter Lebanon. So what they are trying to do is push the Lebanese army to have a clash with the resistance in Lebanon, thinking that this way that they will take the arms and the weapons of the resistance, and the people will back with the army, and the resistance will never ever give them this thing by having a problem with the army, because basically the army is part of the people, so is the resistance. So maybe one guy is in the resistance, the other one brother is in the resistance, the other brother is in the army. Do you get what I mean? So this is something that is not going to happen at all. Now, what they are doing is stopping aid from coming to Lebanon and choking Lebanon. They are literally choking Lebanon, Patrick, economically, and they are not allowing money to enter Lebanon. They are not allowing aid to enter Lebanon. They are not allowing people to build their houses. Even people who are getting, pre-built houses that are already ready and you just put it on the land, they are attacking. The Israeli is attacking it once they see it. They are not allowing the Southerners and all the Lebanese actually to build back their houses. They want to pressure them and telling them that you will build your houses, you will get back to your normal life if you give up your weapons, if you give up on the resistance. But that is actually what they are doing, is doing the resistance a great favor in the upcoming elections. There's an elections in Lebanon in a year and 3 months or 2 months from now. Uh, People are rallying more around the resistance. People are going to vote more and more for the resistance in Lebanon because they can see what the West is doing and what some Lebanese factions are doing. Because some Lebanese factions, to be honest with you, Patrick, are doing much worse than the Israeli. They have a higher demand than the Israeli for what they want for Lebanon. At the moment, they are actually choking the Lebanese. Patrick, we are not allowed to do anything in for example, our money in the bank, we are not allowed to touch it. We are not allowed to have electricity. We are not allowed to bring money to rebuild our houses. We are not. So this is something that they are trying to pressure the Lebanese to stop supporting the resistance, but it's actually backfiring on them, and they will see it in the next elections.
Yeah, and this is also a key point here, and I think this gets missed when you hear a lot of Americans, especially the so-called experts. There's plenty of those around these days, but and they're always saying, "Well, Lebanon has an army. Why do they need Hezbollah?" But at the same time, isn't this true, Ibrahim, that the U.S. Out of the U.S. embassy are basically restricting the types of military equipment that the Lebanese armed forces can have? For instance, they don't allow anti-aircraft. They don't allow aircraft. So there's no Lebanese Air Force, except for that one or two Russian MiGs that the Soviets gave them as a gift, or the Russians gave them in, I think it was the 90s, but as for training. So they don't have an Air Force. They don't have air defense. They effectively are not equipped to defend their southern border. And this is because, isn't this because the U.S. puts pressure and stipulates these conditions? They put very stringent controls and conditions over the Lebanese state on this issue, which leaves a vacuum in terms of who is going to defend the country. And Hezbollah, of course, has filled that vacuum for a long time. But what about this relationship the U.S. has? On one side, they say disarm. On the other side, they won't allow the Lebanese army to have the equipment to control their airspace, for instance. What are your thoughts on this?
First of all, Patrick, if there was a strong Lebanese army, there won't be a need for a resistance. The army will be capable of doing it by itself. Now, for example, I'm going to give you a live example that's happening today. Now in Lebanon, they are taking southern Litani River. Hezbollah is giving up their weapons according to the agreement that happened, because Hezbollah is abiding by the agreement, not like the Israeli who violated it more than 3,000 times. They are giving up their weapons. They are giving it to the army. Do you know what's happening with these weapons? They are being destroyed because the Americans told them you are not allowed to have guided missiles for tanks. You are not allowed to have missiles that can threat the settlements in occupied Palestine, Israel. You are not allowed to have weapons that might cause any damage or harm to the Israeli army. Israel is the one violating the agreement. Israel is the one that is attacking Lebanon. Israel is the one that is massacring in Lebanon. 130 martyrs since the ceasefire. Why aren't they telling the Israeli they should stop attacking Lebanon? The Americans basically have a huge say in the Lebanese government and the Lebanese army, and they are not allowing any kind of heavy weaponry or weapons that can cause any damage to any invader to Lebanon, especially the Israeli invader. Imagine the anti-tanks. So if I want to use anti-tank missiles, guided missiles, it will be if you attack me, right? They are not allowing the Lebanese army to keep it as well. How do they expect the Southerners, and I am from the South, Patrick, how do they expect the Southerners to accept this? To accept being this weak against an entity that has no borders and has a huge appetite for ethnic cleansing and killing and attacking and taking lands, I don't see that the Southerners will ever accept this kind of agreement, Patrick. Even if, and this is not going to happen, in my opinion, even if Hezbollah goes, there will be another resistance. The people of the land are always going to resist, because our roots are deep into this land. Our roots are very deep into this land, that we will not be accept to be thrown away from our land for any reason or anyone or any pressure. They will they will have to kill every single one of the Lebanese before they can kick the Lebanese out of their lands. And I believe also the same for the Syrians and for the Palestinians and for the Iraqis and for the Jordanians and the Egyptians and everyone in this region. This entity will one day will not be able to continue in our region because of what they did, and because it is an occupier. It's not an organic entity in our region, it's an occupier. Now, regarding the weapons, and before 2018, Patrick, the Russians forget about the Iranians. Okay, the Russians came and told the Lebanese government, "We are ready to give you weapons. We are ready to give you missiles, tanks, etc." What did the Lebanese government say? No. Why? Because the Americans pressured them. We told them, we will sanction you. We will put huge sanctions. Plus, the Americans, they have their tools in Lebanon. They have so many parties that can support whatever they say in Lebanon. So no, yeah, sadly, our government is destroying the weapons that Hezbollah are giving them, instead of keeping them to protect the Southerners and to protect all of Lebanon. Because who knows if HTS one day are going to attack Lebanon?
Yeah, exactly. You can't be defenseless. You can't leave yourself open to those sort of vulnerabilities. So it makes perfect sense. But this is look, the United States is building something of a massive compound in Lebanon. It's like the third embassy that they've gone, the third version, the 3.0 embassy up on the hills above north of Beirut. And it seems like the first time, Ibrahim, the plan was that first compound was to manage the reconstruction of Syria, because they hoped that Syria was going to fall in about 2013. That was the thinking. That's what people were saying at the time. Assad would fall in 2013, and then they would manage the reconstruction like they did with Iraq from Beirut. That would be the base of operations. Of course, the timeline on that was very different, and they weren't successful. But now they're building this other huge, massive compound. A lot of journalists have been talking about this and saying, why does the U.S. need such a massive compound with a huge underground, 6, 7, 8 levels underground on the hillside, the mountainside in Lebanon there? What could they possibly need this type of a compound for? What are your thoughts on the U.S. entrenchment in Lebanon?
Lebanon has always been important for the United States. This is not an embassy. This is a base, intelligence base, actually, in Lebanon. The U.S. believes that Lebanon is a vital part of basically controlling the region, and it has a very strategic point, a geographical strategic point regarding being on the Mediterranean, being close to the entity, being on, being close to Syria, on the borders with Syria. So they believe that one of the reasons to control the region is they have to control, Lebanon, and to control this area in Lebanon. This is basically an intelligence base in Lebanon to push forward. For example, Patrick, and this is just an opinion I have. What if someday this entity is gone? What will the United States have in this region? They will have this. They will have Lebanon. They do control part of Lebanon. Actually today, they do not control part of Lebanon. They control Lebanon at the moment. Everything. And by the negotiations between Trump and the Iranians is very important for what's going to happen next, especially in Lebanon and Syria. It's very vital and very important. So if one day the entity is gone, they will have this base. They do have allies in Lebanon. The Americans do have allies in Lebanon. So yeah, to keep a foot in the region and to be close to the Mediterranean Sea and to have a base next to the Mediterranean Sea, they have to have a base in Lebanon and the base other than Israel, on the Mediterranean Sea, and that is Lebanon, because they have only Syria left, and in the Syrian coast, the Russians are there. So it's a very vital, important point for the Americans.
And we're probably going to wrap this program up very shortly, but I wanted to get your thoughts on two things. First thing is, do you think Jolani and HTS, you saw what they did in the coastline, massacring Alawites and Christians, and then now tested the borders a little bit in Lebanon soon after that. First of all, do you think there's a potential threat there on the horizon for Lebanon from Syria as a destabilizing factor there? And I want to talk about Yemen after that. But firstly, on the Syria-Lebanon question there, what are your thoughts on the status of that threat?
So basically, the Lebanese foreign minister and the Lebanese defense minister went to Saudi Arabia and met the Syrian defense minister and the Syrian foreign minister. And this is a very blessed move that the Saudis did. Everyone was happy with it because, first of all, it will release the tension of the Sunni Shia problem in the region. Second, it will put a red line that nobody wants to cross. Neither do the Lebanese want to cross it, nor the Syrians want to cross it regarding a fight in Lebanon. I think at the moment, Syria is not stable. Syria has so many problems. They cannot, attacking Lebanon is not a possibility at the moment. At the moment, I mean. Until Syria becomes stable and to know where the country is going, or if it's going to be officially divided or not divided, or if it's going to be in the hand of Al-Jolani or someone else, or if Israel is going to advance or the Turks are going to advance, I don't see that the HTS at the moment attacking Lebanon, at least not now.
Okay, and then on the issue of Yemen, the U.S. is hitting Yemen pretty hard. Do you think they're getting anywhere with this onslaught of bombing and air sorties that the U.S. is doing right now against Yemen? They're clearly using this, it seems like, a kind of part of the maximum pressure on Iran. They're making a display of force, basically saying to Iran, "You're next. This is what we're capable of doing here." At the same time, they're doing it on behalf of Israel. But how successful is the U.S. going to be with this effort of going after Yemen first? Do you think they're going to get anywhere with this?
Okay. Regarding Yemen, I want to believe President Trump. He said they are building very sophisticated weapons, and they have very sophisticated underground facilities that we are not actually destroying completely. They are still building and they are still attacking our ships. So in his previous tweet, President Trump said, "Don't shoot at us, we won't shoot at you. So, and don't sink." And he said, now the Houthis cannot sink our ships again. By saying again, is he saying that the Houthis already, or Ansarullah already sank American ships that he didn't tell the American public about? I don't believe attacking Yemen will be beneficial for the Americans. Throughout the history of this region, and it's good to read the history of this region, there is not one empire that went to Yemen, Patrick, and was successful. The Yemeni people are very tough people, are very stubborn people, and are people who do not give in to threats or attacks. If you attack them, they will not surrender. What the Americans are doing in Yemen today are destroying houses. They are killing people, but they cannot stop the missiles and they cannot stop the attacks that are being held specifically on Israeli ships. It's basically not threatening the trade route from the Red Sea. The Yemenis are very specific. They said only Israeli ships. They didn't even say American ships. They said Israeli ships only.
Mm.
Any other country is passing normally through the Red Sea. Nobody is attacking them. So I want to believe President Trump when he said that they are very strong and they have very high capabilities. And at the moment, we didn't achieve anything. He didn't say that. The New York Times, I think, said it. They said that our weapons and our bunker busters or our attacks on Al Yemen have not been successful, or at least very limited success. Yemen is a big country with a very difficult geography, very difficult landscape that I don't think the Americans will be successful in stopping missiles from attacking Israeli ships. And the solution is very simple, Patrick. Stop the war on Gaza, allow humanitarian aid to enter Gaza, and any ship can pass through the Red Sea.
Yeah, it's very straightforward. Yemen's been very transparent. They've been very, very open about their intentions, about their policy. I wish the U.S. was that clear and that open about their policies and their intentions, as maybe the Yemenis can give a course on diplomacy and foreign policy to Washington, teach them a few things about communication. Because Americans are failing badly in this department. Actually, Ibrahim, to be quite honest, this is one of the biggest problems with the Trump administration, is that they don't seem to know how to communicate what they're doing to the world, and there seems to be a lot of confusion with everything they put their fingers on. I don't know if you've noticed this as well, but it seems like it's changing direction all the time, and it's very difficult to get a read on things. This can't be good for even their allies or their golf partners, for instance. So, I mean, what do your thoughts on that? I mean, how are you able to read what Washington's doing here, or is this becoming a problem for anybody else in the region?
I think what Washington is doing at the moment is putting the Israeli interest above any other interest, even the American interest. At the moment. Even though I will not say that the Americans and the Israelis have different interests in this region, they actually have basically the same interest, but maybe in a different point of view. But at the moment, no, the Americans are putting the Israeli interest above anything else. I mean, look, I want to attack Iran. I want to destroy Iran. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Now they are negotiating with Iran. We are fighting ISIS, we are fighting Al Qaeda. Now, the president of Syria was the head of Al Qaeda and the head of ISIS. We will destroy Yemen. We will attack Yemen. Now he said, "Don't shoot at us. We won't shoot at you." And by the way, whoever says this, it's weakness. It's not something strong for a president to say, "Don't shoot at us. We will not shoot at you." He showed a little bit of weakness there, President Trump. At the moment, to be honest with you, I do not see the Americans doing their interest as American people. I mean, American people. I don't believe that the American people have an interest in being in this region or attacking any other country or hundreds of thousands of Americans being deployed into the Middle East for a war that is not going to be swift, like they told you. It's going to be a long war, a tough war, and a lot of people will die in this region, and it will cost the economy of the world a lot. I don't think that the Americans are very clear about what they are doing right now, exactly what they are doing. One day they want to do something, the other day they want to do another thing. I think this is a strategy from Trump. I don't think it's something that is he's doing it by accident. But hopefully, Patrick, one day that this region will be free. And see, we don't have a problem with the American people. We do not have any problem with the American people. The problem is with us being occupied and our wealth is being stolen.
Yeah, yep. And we're starting to see a lot of people waking up to the geopolitical realities now in the region. So nobody can hide behind any agendas anymore. Things are really becoming very, very clear whose intentions are where on this particular issue here, especially where Israel's true intentions and interests lie. That's been laid bare in the last couple of months, as well as where the U.S. intentions are. So at least now people can see for themselves. Before the collapse of the Assad government, there were all these questions about Syria and Assad, and no more questions. If you haven't worked it out by now, you're never going to be able to work it out.
Exactly.
So it's pretty clear. Ibrahim Majed, I want to thank you for joining us on the Midweek Wire. This has been a great discussion.
Thank you, Patrick.
No, we could go longer, but we have limited time midweek. But hopefully we'll carry this discussion over to an X space, perhaps in the next few days, definitely on the weekend as well. We've done a few spaces, Middle East-based spaces with Ibrahim, and a few other panelists have come to join us as well. It's been very, very good and productive discussions. We'll continue those on that platform as well. So we want to thank you for your time today. Much appreciated. And if you want to follow on X, Ibrahim, there on the bottom at Ibrahim T. Majed, Ibrahim T. Majed, you follow him on X, formerly known as Twitter, for updates and takes on some of these very, very important issues. So I'm going to be taking us to the final part of the stream now to close up this program. Again, I'm your host, Patrick Henningsen. This is the Midweek Wire, and do stay tuned on 21stcenturywire.com, not only on the X Spaces, of course, which we do during the week, usually in the evening, UK time, and late afternoon, US time. But on Sunday, the Sunday Wire, this is our weekly omnibus news and analysis radio program brought to you here at 21stcenturywire.com. And again, we're streaming out live on all these platforms. That's on Sunday, 12 p.m. till 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 5 till 8 p.m. UK time. And usually have a great panel of guests, either from Alternate Current Radio, our team there, and we also will bring in some other people from the outside as well to discuss all of the top stories, both domestically in the U.S., but also internationally and Europe, in addition to that. So that's something that we hope you can join us. And again, if you find it within your heart to support independent media, we definitely need your help now more than ever. We've been slowly trying to expand our operation, and we're added this program on the midweek. Now we're way past our 10th episode. We're into our sort of, I think, the 12th week now. So this has been a great success. We'll keep it going. It's going to get better. We're going to get stronger. We're going to add more programming to our weekly schedule as well. So again, we couldn't do that without your support. There's a donate link on our website. If you go to 21stcenturywire.com, you can donate and support us there. And also at the top of my X profile, you'll see a link to 21st Century Wire. Donate. You can support us there. Subscribe and become a member at 21wire.tv. This is another way you can help us going forward. It's not expensive at all, but it goes a long way. We do have a growing team and want to keep the momentum going. So we need your support to do that. So we appreciate any little bit that we can get. We'll put it to good use. You can be sure of that. Again, I'm your host, Patrick Henningsen. Thank you for joining us, and hello to everybody on the streams and anybody in the 21 Wire chat room at our .com site. Hello to you guys there. So we will be reconvening over the weekend with the Sunday Wire. Keep an eye on our X feed at 21 Wire here on the bottom for anything that's coming. And we will see you soon. And we'll leave you at the end of this program with the music, the great music of Joseph Arthur. Take care, everybody. All the best.
Genocide is never justified. There ain't no reason, 'cause human beings are more than just a kind, defined by race or religion. 'Cause we all have souls and a mission here on earth. Only God knows why. You can't decide their death, 'cause you weren't here for their birth, or their first laugh or cry. Don't let the children die. Don't let the children die. Sisters and brothers, we know it's wrong when we see their fathers cry with their mothers. Genocide is never justified. There ain't no reason, 'cause human beings are more than just a kind, defined by race or religion.